Please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
And welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged. Come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1. If the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2. If you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application, and it's other than a renewal, and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First application's application, oh, wait. Oh, we do? Okay. Okay, we have one adjournment on the agenda for tonight. Application, what one was that? 24-122, and it's being adjourned to August the 22nd. Is there anybody here on that application? Okay. First application is application 24-127 of Francine Brown, property located in Deer Park. Name and address for the record, please.
Francine Brown, 18 Morrissey Place, Deer Park, New York, 11729.
Okay. Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
For the record. We have a Planning Division memo dated July 24, 2024. Environmental Control memo dated July 26, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A tax map acting as an area map, a survey by Jason Lettingham dated May 21st, 2024, and,
Chairman, there's 5 photographs.
okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, the application is to legally maintain an awning. The house that I live in, that was built in 1967, is a corner piece of property. The width and the depth are 80 by 125. And when we first applied to the zoning board, when we first were building the house, we had to comply with the setbacks, the front yard setbacks, which diminished the rear yard by a tremendous amount. So I have a very small backyard. And the awning covers a great deal of the backyard. And so obviously I'm here to legally maintain that awning.
Turn hearing over to Mr. Correcchia.
Well, what brings you here tonight is to legally maintain the awning. You're preparing to sell the home, or is that why you're here tonight?
Yes.
Yes, okay. There are no open complaints? Your neighbors are not complaining about the awning on that side or anything like that?
No, there were no complaints other than my neighbor that adjoins the property was concerned that the top of the awning was dirty. But he has trees hanging over the awning, so I'm having someone come this weekend to
Just
power
pressure
wash.
washing, okay.
That was it.
All right. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing, reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Next application is application 24-126 of Jerry and Jacqueline Maynard, property located in Copiague.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
So my name is Jacqueline Mayor. The address is 205 Maple Court, 195 Maple Court. It's actually 2 lots.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
I'm sorry?
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 24, 2024. Environmental Control memo dated July 26, 2024. It should be noted that this property abuts freshwater wetlands. Might need to coordinate with New York State DEC on that. Okay, it should be in your packet, actually, too. Tax map acting as an area map. Survey by Michael Wicks, dated, last dated October 30th, 2023, and
Chairman, there's 8 photographs in a site plan by AS Engineering Services dated October 7th, 2022.
would like to tell us about the application.
Yes, the application, we purchased this home, I want to say, in 2008. At the time, we had a survey that had, it's saying permission to increase total building area from 30% to 36%, diminish the distance from the front street line from 40 inches to 28. The metal shed that's there was originally on the original survey when we purchased the property, so the metal shed is still actually there. The block patio in the back, I also, when we purchased the home, it was still there as well on the survey dating before. And the concrete patio, which is the only thing that's new that we actually did, to diminish it from my neighbors, I guess we're maybe 1 foot, and they want it to be 2. Initially, this was because we did a sunroom, which was approved, and that's already permitted and approved. But when we did the new survey highlighted these discrepancies. So this is what we're asking for permission to legally maintain the block patio, the metal shed, and the concrete patio.
Thank you. So I guess one of your problems is the fact that you're on a, it's not but, well, it's an irregular lot besides everything else, too, so.
Yes, that's for sure.
So the shed, which is behind the 6-foot fence, is it possible to relocate that shed at all?
If that's what the board recommends, I mean, I'll just have to find if it's possible to put it on the other side. I'm thinking to the left if I'm looking at it, if that's what the board recommends. And, the shed basically has lawnmower, garden tools, just basically your everyday stuff. So if I have to relocate the shed, then
So has the shed been there, how long you own the house?
since 2008, it's the shed
2008,
that's
okay.
been
The
there the
shed-
whole time.
Has been there, was there when you bought the house, too?
Yes, my original survey has that, yes.
Okay. So the shed is, it's 9.5 by 8.5, so it's under 100 square feet.
That's what they're saying here, yes.
If we were to approve this, would you agree that if the shed has to come down, that it be put in a conforming location?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Oh, I missed that, page 2, I'm sorry. Okay, so the first one was about putting the shed in a legal location. Should any of the brick pavers be removed, or is in disrepair, they be replaced in a conforming location so that they're 2 foot off the property lines? If you have to do anything with the pavers ever, would you agree that you put them 2 foot, which would be conforming?
I would, definitely, and that also applies. We purchased the property with those pavers. 2008, it's on the original, but if I have to do that, then I'll just have to relocate the pavers.
We're talking only if they're in disrepair, not...
Okay.
All right? You would do that. What's this other one, Katie? So we need,
So since you are, if you choose to approve it for accessory structure, it's on a lot that's not with the main dwelling, they should be effectively merged,
okay.
so there's a connection with that.
So would you agree to that also, that the lots be merged?
Would that affect the taxes? I mean, I don't know what the recommend. So then would there be a 195, or it would only be 205?
Have to follow up with the tax assessor, I don't know, I assume you're getting tax
On both?
from now as
Yes.
is. I don't know if that would change anything, you're not changing the size of them.
No.
It's been existing. The board can hold it for, while you follow up with the assessors and see if that's something you are willing to agree to.
What would be, leaving it the way it is, what would be the problem?
Because your accessory structures, like the shed and the pool, are not on the same lot as the house.
Okay.
It's not something that we permit.
Okay,
So we'll give you time to follow up on that,
okay.
all right?
As long as you give me the guidelines, then that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Any other,
You had another shed on your plot plan.
I'm sorry to cut you off. That shed was actually destroyed in Superstorm Sandy, so there is no shed. If I look at that, it was back there. It's not there. All you may see back there is the pavers where the shed existed, but in the storm, that was destroyed. I only have one shed.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. So we're going to close the hearing. We'll reserve decision. We'll keep the record open for you to get back to us on merging the lots, okay? So,
I can follow up with you and I'll give you the phone number to call and make sure that.
And is there a time frame for that, within which I have to do, well, you'll get back to me anyway. Okay.
so we're going to keep the record open until the end, August 22nd. That's our next meeting, is August 20. Now, we have one in between, but then there's that week off. So August 22nd would be that meeting. So we'll keep the record open till then. If you do not get it resolved by then, just get in touch with the zoning office. You can just ask them for some more time if that's what you need, okay?
Okay.
We're just
And
trying to
you'll
put a
get back
time
to me.
factor on it, though.
Yes.
All right?
Will do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next application is application 24-131 of Lucy Pellegrino, property located in Copeg. Not here. Name and address for the record?
Lucy Pellegrino, 120 Neptune Place, Massapequa, 11758.
Okay. And you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated July 24, 2024. Environmental control memo dated July 26, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Tax map acting as an area map. A survey by Michael K. Wicks dated December 11th, last dated December 11th, 2023. And
Chairman, there's 12 photographs and a site plan by Michael J. Drake dated June 3rd, 2024.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Sure. This property was purchased back in 2023 from an estate. It had been sitting vacant for some time. When I purchased the property, I did a FOIL on it, and there was nothing other than an occupancy certificate dated 1946 in the file. We pulled a building permit, we did some interior renovations, and then we closed that permit out and received a certificate of occupancy for it. When we received that CO, which was in February, I believe, of this year, we were told that we needed to legalize the dwelling from a summer dwelling, I guess, to an all-round, all-year dwelling. So we met with Tim Bessemer, I think it was, from the building department, and he advised us that we needed to submit to the zoning board to get that, to get the dwelling legalized. So that's kind of what brings me here. I know in the memo it mentioned that there was an issue with an existing shed as well as the front yard setbacks. So I went into the Suffolk County GIS viewer, which gives you aerial photos of the property dating back to 1947. And I printed out as far back as 1984, where it shows that the shed and the front part of the building existed at that point. Going back further than that to 1978, 1962, 1947, the aerial views are difficult to print out, but if you look real closely online, you could see that those structures are in place there. So I guess that's really the gist of it, is the structures have existed for as long as I can find records going back. And we'd like to get those legalized so that we can close out the CO.
So everything on this property exists as you bought it? Nothing, and you're not
Nothing
here
is-
to do any renovations?
I did interior renovations and
No, I mean,
received
like,
the CO.
change this, add to
Nothing.
the house or anything like that, to the
Nothing.
outside, to the, the side yards,
Nothing.
none of that? Everything's the
Nothing.
same as it was?
Correct.
And when did you buy the house?
In 2023, I believe it was March or April.
And,
You know, I can give you the permit number and the CO number that was issued, if that's helpful.
that's okay. So there are some conditions, variance number 4, detached garage.
I mean, it came as a complete surprise to me after we got the CO for the construction that wasn't going to satisfy, all the requirements for the property.
So the garage has been there, that was part of the house too? That was part of everything?
Yes, yes. And I have an aerial shot from 1984, if you want to take a look at that, that clearly shows the shed is in place.
You could, if you want to submit that, we'll look at it.
Who do I give that to? And again, when you go back further than that, it just gets very blurry, to see it looks sort of like a sonogram.
Planning staff is asking for some conditions. If we were to approve this, the basement be an unfinished area only, as per the applicant's plans. Second story to be finished storage use only. Is that for the garage? That's for the garage? That's for the house?
Yep, that's no issue.
That's,
No
okay.
issue.
And no accessory apartments?
No problem.
What is your intent for this property? You're living there? Are you selling it? What do you,
It's been sold.
it's been sold?
Yeah.
It's been sold. So who, it's already been sold? Are the
Yes.
new owners here?
Yes.
or- They are? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're in other words, you're representing them at this point, and they're okay with that?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. I'm going to hold this. I'm going to close the hearing and reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail. Thanks for coming down. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next application is application 24-130 of Wayne Ronaldo, property located in Amityville. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Wayne Ronaldo, 20 Emerald Lane South, Amityville, New York, 11701.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 24th, 2024. Environmental Control memo dated July 26, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A Zoning Board of Approval, ZBA case 9753. And there's a number of things on here: no accessory apartments, no second-story decks, covenants and restrictions to be filed on that approval. Again, that was dated 97, yes, something. February 4th, 1997, we think. A certificate of occupancy, also from the zoning board, 9753, and that was dated March 24th, 1998. A Town of Babylon rental inspection checklist with a number of items, a number of things on there. Survey by Jack Allison Hall, last dated February 27th, 1997, I believe. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, there's 10 photographs.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, I referred this to my architect to do some work for the deck, to file the paperwork, because I had one of your inspectors stop by and he says that I need to file a permit. And also, the original information that I found out that I had acquired this property from my sister, because she was getting ready to go into foreclosure, and I took over the property. So it's saying that I have to be a resident there when I'm just living a block over. So I had the architect draw up the information and present it so that way we can get the right permits to make the property legal.
Okay. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Perotti.
So then you answered my first question. You don't live in the property then?
At this present time, no.
Do you plan on living there?
Not at this moment.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of violations I don't know if you're aware of. First off, you have a basement apartment, a second floor apartment. You have a deck for the back, stairs leading up to the apartment, which are all in the covenant restrictions. Did you know about that or no?
Yeah, well, with the it's one family that lives there, and they've been living there since my sister moved out from the property, and they have been living there. So, like I said to the inspector when the guy came to inspect, it's one family. It's just that the way it's set up. He said I have to change it because I need to do it in stairs in the inside that leads down to the basement. The basement is where the boiler is, and it's a finished basement. But the family they said I need to put a legal entrance in the inside to go down to the basement. So that's why I had the architect come in and says, okay, let's get this paperwork done so we can file it legally, because I guess from all the paperwork that was from 1998, I had no clue about it. I just took over the property because I was trying to help my sister. It was getting ready to go into foreclosure.
Yes, so the violation is also the outside cellar entrance. You're not allowed. So everything that's set up, you have it set up for almost like a three-family house, because you have an apartment in the basement, you have on the first floor, and then you have on the second floor, you have another apartment. So you almost have for three families, which is only one single family allowed, and has to be owner occupied.
Yeah, but how can we go about changing that? Because that was because the first person that came there says, I need to file a rental permit. So I went to file a rental permit, and then he said he'll come back and inspect. So they came back and inspect, and they says, okay, well, you need to make these changes. So I paid $6,500 to the architect to have these changes made, and that's what we presented to the town. So now I'm hearing. So if I can get a straight answer from everybody, say, okay, you need to do this and you need to do that, I will follow the process, because it's costing me a lot of money, and I need to get this corrected.
So the straight answer that I can give you from here, from the planning board, is that you have to remove the outside cellar entrance, the second story deck. The illegal apartment should be removed immediately, because you don't have a permit. For the covenant restrictions, you're not allowed any of that. And whoever did it, I mean, were they given the covenant restrictions from the builder?
No, because that was, like I said, I took over the property from my sister.
Does your sister know that? I mean, obviously. Because all the stuff that you have is all violations.
How many families are currently living there?
It's one family, it's one main family, but it's her brother and her sister that's living there at the property.
So it's three.
So they have their own kids, and so it's actually
Three kitchens?
So you have three
no,
families.
not three kitchens. It's just like I said. It's just one. It's
one family, but
one.
each
It's
has
one
their own
family.
And kids, though.
Yeah, but the sister have one kid, the brother have one kid, and she has three kids.
That's still three families. You don't include them all together into one.
Basement apartments are illegal. There's no basement apartments.
How many kitchens do you have?
There's only one kitchen there.
There's no kitchen in the basement or on the second floor?
There's not a kitchen in the basement. There's like a utility where you can get some coffee or whatever, and a sink. There's no stove. There's none of that stuff, and a fridge.
The sink will classify it
As a kitchen.
in the basement. There's a sink in the basement and on the second floor?
Yes, there's a sink. I put a sink there so that they can wash stuff or whatever. But I'll take out
So that classifies it as a kitchen per the town, per the planning board.
So it has to be single family, one kitchen, one sink in the house.
Okay, so what do I need to do as far as having the architect reprocess this information? What do I need to tell him to how to go about drawing this stuff up?
Remove the sinks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll have to remove only one kitchen is permitted, so one kitchen sink in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go through it.
So both sinks have the ones on the second floor and the basement have to be removed.
Okay.
I mean,
So then go on to the next thing, second story deck.
yeah, the second story deck as well has to be removed.
The second story deck has to be
You
removed?
need a permit. You don't have a permit for any of that, and the stairs as well. You
Well,
don't- so
that's
with the-
why we made the application, so we can extend, that's what I was saying.
You need us to lift the covenants and restrictions on.
Yeah,
case
so we
number
can
90
extend the house.
Wait.
Yeah,
The-
sorry.
The dwelling shall be limited to single-family use, no accessory apartments, no second-story decks, no stairs to the second story, no outside basement cellar entrances. Dwelling must be owner-occupied by first purchaser from the builder. Those are all the conditions that exist on this house right now. Those are covenants and restrictions. So what you're really asking us to do is lift those covenants and restrictions to do what you're doing with the house currently. You don't live there, right?
No.
So that's what you're asking us to do, is to lift
Yes.
the covenants and restrictions. Okay.
So that is it, so, that-
Which is,
Technically, has not been applied for with this application.
yes.
Oh, he has.
Re-advertised, should the board wish to further consider it.
No. I mean,
It's an illegal three-family as it stands right now, and it's only zoned for a single-family dwelling, that's it.
He has to live there, it's single family only. Oh, yeah.
I don't have any further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay, we're going to close the hearing, we're going to reserve decision. You'll get our decision in the mail, okay?
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Next application is application 24-128 of Robert Radecki, property located in North Babylon. Name and address for the record.
James Apka from Todd O'Connell Architects, 1200 Veterans Highway, Hauppauge, New York, 11788.
Okay. For the record, do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 24, 2024, environmental control memo dated July 26, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Survey by Michael Scalise dated February 19, 2019. Tax map acting as an area map. And,
Chairman, there's 4 photographs.
okay, would you like to tell us about that application?
Yes, absolutely. The application in front of you tonight is for proposed alterations and additions to an existing 1.5-story frame cape that's located at 84 Forster Boulevard. If you're familiar with this area, the roads are actually kind of winding and not exactly straight. So therefore, when they did the subdivision, the lots were kind of pie-shaped up and not more rectangular. Also locating some of these homes closer to property lines than you would see in other areas. In the additions that we're proposing on the back of the house would be a second-story half dormer over the existing footprint. What that does is it actually diminishes the side yard that we're maintaining with diminishing down to 7 feet where 10 feet is required. And we're also asking to diminish the total aggregate side yards from 25 feet down to, I believe it's 7.7 feet. 7.7 feet sounds a little drastic, but if you look at the site plan, the way this existing garage was actually built on this house, it was located 0.7 feet from the western property line. So the addition itself, if you look, is actually located over the existing residence itself. So we're not actually extending all the way out to keep 7.7 feet as an aggregate. Also, as part of this application, we are looking to construct a front roof over porch to bring a little bit more aesthetic to the home and also to give the owner some shelter from coming in on the weather. In doing that, we'd like to diminish the front yard from 30 feet down to 19.46 feet.
Thank you. Turn the hearing over to Ms. McCullough.
All right, so the side yard setbacks are already existing from the house that's already there.
Correct.
Do you agree to not further enclose the porch?
Absolutely, 100%.
have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
All right, I make a motion to approve application 24-128 with the condition that the front porch not be enclosed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Yeah, we approved. What's this guy's last name? Next application is 24-129 of Vincent Malacia, property located in Farmingdale. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, Board. My name is Vincent Malizia of 22 Walnut Avenue East in Farmingdale, New York.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 24, 2024, Environmental Control memo dated July 26, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A survey, well, the original survey was by Michael Hogan, but there's a lot of changes made and hand-drawn into this survey. Dated October 15, 2024, tax map acting as an area map, and,
Chairman, there's 5 photographs.
okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
Good evening. We are looking to put an in-ground pool in the backyard. In addition, for the in-ground pool, we want to legally maintain the existing awning off the back of the house, which was there when we purchased it approximately 10 years ago. And we are going to erect a 10-by-10 gazebo in the back left area of the yard where a shed used to be, which is no longer there. It's kind of covered by the trees right now, but
The shed that was there, you're taking down?
the shed's
Putting
gone
a
already,
gazebo.
yes.
It's not there anymore,
Not there anymore, no, sir.
okay. Is it possible to cut that awning back?
It is the overhang, I know in the letter they said, the overhang, the roof of the awning is in alignment with the roof of the house. The actual patio doesn't go out, it's just the roof. Actually, I have pictures on my phone, I should have printed it out. But it's just the roof of the awning is in line with the roof of the house. If we have to cut it back, 100% yes, we will. But again, it's been there for 10 years and that's the way it was built. The floor of the awning and everything doesn't protrude out. It's just the roof, which is in line with the roof of the house.
Did you put that awning?
No, sir.
Up, or was it there?
It was there when we bought the house approximately
There when
10.
you bought the house?
Yes, approximately 10 years ago.
Were you represented by counsel?
No.
There's some conditions on the bottom of the planning memo. The gazebo to be in a conforming location.
Yes, sir.
All patios, pavers, and decking maintain a 2-foot setback from all property lines.
Yes, sir.
And the rear awning not be enclosed.
Correct. It is not enclosed. Yes, sir.
Your survey shows the awning is 6.9 from your property line and the house is 8.1.
Yeah, I don't know. Do they measure the house from the roof or from the side of the house? Because, I mean, I could show someone a picture on my phone. I don't know if that's appropriate, but the roof of the house, I guess, is 6.9, which is the roof of the awning, is aligned with that. The actual house dwelling is not 6.9. Either which way, I could cut it back if that's what the board wants.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the, he raised his hand. For the record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You get the decision in the mail. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Good luck. The next application is application 24-122. That's going to be adjourned until 8/22/24. Is there anybody here now on that application? Okay. Number 8. Next application is application 24-125 of Long Island Prestige Auto Service, property located in North Lindenhurst.
Good afternoon. My name is Lucas Sokol, and I'm here for 127 Fifth Street.
Okay, and did you give me an address?
Yeah, 127 Fifth Street, Lindenhurst.
And you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 24, 2024, Environmental Control memo dated July 26, 2024. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. Fire Marshal's report dated July 12, 2024, has no objections. We do not have Suffolk County planning on this, so we cannot move the application tonight. Survey by Michael Lawrence Haynes dated April 3rd, 2018. Tax map acting as an area map, and...
Chairman, there's 7 photographs.
Okay, what would you like to tell us about the application?
I'm applying to reapply for a public garage with the outdoor storage.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Rigney.
I drove past there this afternoon. It's a very clean building, well-maintained. Nice job with that. My biggest question is why so late?
So we kind of overlooked the date. Then we had to get a new survey, and the architect was out of the country for a couple of days or weeks, whatnot, and he just one thing fall into another. And we knew that we had it for 2 years, but pretty much we just kind of started late.
Yeah. 20, right? It was up in 20, so we're way behind.
We submit, I think, paperwork in February, so a couple of months that we got behind.
Any changes to the business? Everything remains the same?
Same, exactly the same.
Mr. Chairman, I got no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. So we're going to close the hearing and reserve decision. We're going to keep the record open for Suffolk County Planning memo. You don't have to do anything. We'll get that in, okay?
Got it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's just last name. Next application is application 24-123 of Miguel Chiriboga?
Close enough.
Close enough?
Close enough.
Okay, name and address for the record.
For the record, Joseph F. Bazell. The firm is Bazell, Blanda, and Visconti. We are located at 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B4 in Melville. Mr. Chiriboga is the project architect from MLC Architecture. He is with us, as well as Jennifer Aldrich, Elizabeth Galati, and Bo Garten from Federation of Organizations for the New York Mentally Disabled, Inc.
Okay, for the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 24, 2024. What is this? Town of Babylon application. Oh, this is an approval. Is this an approval? Yeah, it's an approval. September 26, 2019. Based upon plans, all in connection with an existing building. Oh, it's for the parking, 57 to 21. Environmental Control memo dated July 26, 2024. Approve this application will not result in significant impact. Does talk about the refuge enclosure, though. Fire Marshal's report dated July 12, 2024. This office has no objections. Tax map acting as an area map. Survey by Joseph Petito, dated March 23, 2024.
And, Mr. Chairman, there's 8 photographs and a site plan by MLC Architects PC dated April 3rd, 2024.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
When we first became involved a couple of weeks ago, we noticed something that the planning memo brings up. The loss of 2 provided spaces. It was 21 the last time. How did it get to be 19? So we went back to our client and the architect, and they have prepared a revised site plan which shows 21 spaces. The project concerns converting interior office space, interior storage space to office space. The building is not getting an inch bigger. Federation seeks to provide additional services principally to existing clients. Federation is a not-for-profit healthcare provider formed in '72, and their main office is at 1 Farmingdale Road in West Babylon. Now, I recognize the board is familiar with Federation because it just approved its new facility on 18th Street, just off Straight Path in Wyandanch. So unless there are any questions, I'll not get into the big rigmarole of what Federation does. The property at issue is on the north side of Akron, 244 feet from Strong. It runs street to street. So it runs from Akron up front to Bangor in the rear. It has access to both. It's 115 feet wide, 200 feet deep. Was built originally in '63. At the time Federation acquired the property, it was somewhat run down. On September 19th of 2019, the zoning board issued an approval for Federation to build out the site at that point. They acquired a building permit in November of 19 and a CO in September of 20. They refurbished the building, have operated there ever since. They have strong ties to the town of Babylon. Their office is in West Babylon. They're looking forward to breaking ground in Wyandanch. They've been providing quality care services in Copeg and want to continue to do that. They are in an industrial area which developed along the presence of the Long Island Railroad. And I have an aerial, a couple aerials I can hand up. Federation's building is highlighted in yellow. It's an industrial area. There are no houses abutting. There are no houses across Akron. There are no houses across Bangor. The area is about 3.5 to 3.5 blocks deep, north to south, and it runs from Warburg Avenue, which is the street to the west, and in the town, to New York Avenue, 3.5 blocks to the east in the village of Lindenhurst. So we're in an industrial pocket here. It's industrial in all directions. It's an outpatient facility. Nobody resides at the site. Federation offers counseling and wellness services to individuals and groups. They have on-site clinical social workers. A psychiatrist comes by a couple of times a week. They develop treatment plans. They assist in caring for patients and in implementing the plan. The aerial that's up now shows 2 buses. Those are Federation's buses. They use them to bring patients to outside activities, such as to a park or to a store. There's a total of 21 employees at this site, but they're not at site at the same time. They have staggered work shifts. There are some part-timers, and some services are provided remotely. The building is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Friday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. The maximum number of employees during the 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. shift is 11. The maximum employees during the 4 to 9 shift is 4. 95% of the patients utilize Medicaid transportation, which is basically a taxi service, and they do not even park on site. It's drop off and pick up, generally from the drive aisle. They enter on Akron, drop off, and they leave on Bangor. They enter on Akron, pick up, and they leave on Bangor. For the few who not have Medicaid, some use Suffolk County Accessible Transportation, or SCAT, which is a pickup and drop-off service. A couple walk, a couple take a bicycle, a couple use public transportation, only 2 to 3 drive. The requirement is generated by the conversion of space. Again, the building is not an inch bigger. It's unusual circumstances. It's a particular case for a particular use. Babylon residents need the services Federation provides, and Federation does a lot of good for Babylon residents. Most of the patients who would utilize the new space are existing patients now. Federation will be using mostly existing staff. They're only bringing on a few part-timers. And as part of that, they're going to be extending their hours, so they will open from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning. So some of those new employees will be on that 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. shift. So the building will be open 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. The parking lot always has spaces open, generally 1 to 3. Now, 1 to 3 is based on providing 19 spaces. When you go back to 21, you're going to have 3 to 5 spaces available. More than half of the spaces are empty after 5 p.m. So the comment that the parking lot is 80% full is not really disputed, but that's all that's needed. You have limited employees, and the patients arrive by separate transportation. Almost none of them drives. And not every patient is there every day. So very particular use, very positive for the residents of the town. An industrial area, no abutting residences, no residences on Akron, no residences on Bangor. 95% of patients use Medicare transportation. There is on-street parking available at Bangor as well. There's a loading door there now, but they don't use it. That's left over when the building was originally built. Every use is different in terms of its need for parking. It is not disputed other uses would require more, but we are not seeking an open-ended variance. Federation is willing to accept a condition on the variance, limiting it to what Federation proposes. So, and if there's any questions on that, I took the liberty of drafting something the board may consider.
I think it's good, you know.
But Federation wants to continue to provide services to the people of Copiague and elsewhere in the town, because people do come from elsewhere in the town. But they understand that if the building ever was used for different purposes, the parking would not work. So that would have to be dealt with at that time, and the variance that makes sense for their rather particular use does not need to be transferable to another use. Again, Federation has strong ties to Babylon. Their main office is in West Babylon. They have a facility in Wyandanch, approved by the board just last month. They provide quality care services, and they want to continue to do that. It's a positive modification to a positive use that does a lot for the community and town residents, and we accept a condition restricting the variance to the use proposed.
I'm still a little confused. How did it get to be 19 and it's really 21?
When the site was constructed, somehow between the architect and between the contractor and the building inspector, the contractor thought he had to put those 2 caged refuse enclosures where he put them. But when he did that, he reduced the number of parking spaces, as you can see. I was not around, you know, when we get done with the board approvals, I go on to the next file. You know, they hired a contractor. They were not going to do the work themselves. They're in the healthcare business. You know, whether the contractor did something he shouldn't have or whether he misunderstood something the building inspector said becomes an academic question.
This isn't a new building, is it, or is it?
The building itself goes back to '63. I know, I was born that year.
Okay, so they're a new tenant, or a new owner?
They bought the building in 2016. Gotcha. They got their approvals in 2019 and their CO in 2020. Okay. They've been operating there ever since.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I got, if you look in the comments, there's a gate, is that What's this gate that this being referred to on the northwest side of the parcel?
Yeah, it's the refuse. They put 2 refuse enclosures back there.
That's what that?
That's what that is.
Okay. Can that be relocated or?
Yeah, we're going to swing it around to the back. Banger's a industrial street. They don't use the back door for loading purposes because they're going to close it. But because when this building was built, it was a warehouse.
Okay.
There's no trucks on this site now.
Is there a reason for the gate? Can it be eliminated?
Well, there's often a pedestrian gate to a refuse enclosure because opening the big gates is sometimes difficult for the people who need to maintain it.
Okay. I didn't understand it.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We just want to go through the plans again
I
and make sure
understand.
everything is right.
I get it.
And we'll consider your variances that you gave us.
You don't have to use my exact language.
Your conditions.
I tried to keep it simple and to the point.
Very good. Thank you. Next application is application 124 of Visual City, Inc., property located in Lindenhurst.
Hold on just one second. For the record, Joseph F. Bazell, the firm is Bazell, Blanda, and Visconti. We are at 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B4 in Melville.
Okay, for the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated July 24th, 2024, Environmental Control memo dated July 26th, 2024, Fire Marshal's report dated July 12th, 2024, has no objections. Let's see what else we got here. We have a survey by Pinnacle Land Surveyors dated October 26, 2021. Tax map acting as an area map, and
Chairman, there's 4 photographs and a site plan by Charles Philip Lembo dated September 2020.
what would you like to tell us about the application?
The project concerns a small 1,152 square foot addition to a 142,925 square foot industrial building. So it's 0.8 of 1%. And it has to do with a bump out. The bump out itself meets the 10-foot requirement. It's slightly over 10 feet. The variance is for a decorative enclosed walk. The applicant took another look at the matter after receiving the planning memo, and my architect was able to come up with a revision which would remove the enclosure but simply leave a canopy. The canopy is also where a handicapped individual would go to the entrance door. Basically, there was a hanging wall that went out in front of the bump out, and there was a sidewalk between the wall and the bump out. But that was what the encroachment was for. So we don't really need the hanging wall. We would like the canopy so that people coming and going would not be in the rain. Visual City. Visual City is a full-service signage, painting, and fabrication company established in 2004 with over 100 employees. The property is owned by the IDA. It's a high-quality operation. They make high-end displays for department stores, principally in New York City. They have in-house graphic designers and engineers. Their facility is state-of-the-art. I have some examples of their work here. They use top quality materials and prepare top quality product. It generally goes to department stores in New York City. The property is triangular it's at the northeast corner of Henry and Bahama in Lindenhurst, just outside the village. The third side of the triangle is the Long Island Railroad. So it's in an industrial nook between the South Shore line of the Long Island Railroad and the spur that connects to the Mid-Island line. The building is 142,925 square feet. It is the only building on the east side of Henry, and it is easily the nicest building in the area. I'm going to hand out some aerials. We're in a small industrial enclave. Properties here are all Zone G except those that are Zoned H. It is solely accessible by the extension of Henry Street. You have heavier industrial uses here, including Nicolak Paving, Nicolia Ready Mix, Gershow Recycling. There's a LIPA substation. Visual City is easily the nicest property in this area. And it's positive for this area. Visual City occupies most of the building, about 72%. Manufacturing occurs on the first floor, offices are on a second floor mezzanine. They are reconfiguring here to provide an attractive entrance because remember, they're selling to Manhattan retail properties and those people are coming into this neighborhood and they want a direct route up to the second floor offices. They don't want people to go into the manufacturing area, and that's understandable. The office mezzanine is in the southwest corner of the building, so the entrance is in the southwest corner. It's a positive, it should be positive and attractive for customers. They also need to provide an elevator. So the small bump out has stairs, an elevator for handicap access on the first floor, an entry vestibule with some display on the second floor reception. Again, 0.8% of the building area. The setback is only for the bump out. The requirement is 10. The existing building is at 30. It's also only a small fraction of the front wall of the building, about 12%. The nearest house to where the elevator will go is 640 feet. As to parking, it's 5.9% reduction, and remember, parking calculations include the entry vestibule, the display area, the elevators, the stairs, the covered walk, as well as all the other bathrooms and things in the building itself. Not every square foot of floor space generates a need for parking. There are no alterations to any tenant space. I do note Visual City is working with the IDA on adding some space in the rear of the building and modifying the parking, which would include adding parking on additional land from where there is parking right now. It's kind of the green area on the left, the triangular green area on the left of the aerial. There's an application in with the planning board, in with planning, is under review. The bump out before the board tonight would not be affected. It's, again, a 1,152 square foot addition to a 142,925 square foot building, 0.8%. This is a great use to have in the town. The IDA has recognized that. It's a high quality use, good employer. The bump out is integral to the operation. Customers need a quality entrance and they need to go to the offices without going through the manufacturing area. And they need to have a positive impression when they get to the site because of the surrounding area. The approval keeps a very positive operation and positive use in the town. Again, this is by far the nicest site in the area. I have been in that area more times than I'd like to say, you know, and this is the best thing down there. The IDA is involved. It provides 100 jobs. The variances are de minimis, and there would be no negative effect on this area. It would be tough for something to have a negative effect on this area in all candor. If the board has any questions, Aside from myself, Mr. Chuck Lembo from Spaces is also here.
Okay, turn the hearing over to Mr. Rigney.
So what's the need for this addition?
They need to, they bring people in from higher-end operations, okay? Now, remember, if we take off the decorative wall, it meets the setback, you know, other than the awning, you know? And the parking variance is 5.9%. They need to put an elevator in, and there were structural issues with the existing building in terms of doing that, which Mr. Lembo can elaborate if you want to hear it. I warn you, it's verbose. But and then they needed to have a reception area in a positive way for these people to come into the building. They make great product, and they want the building to reflect that from the time people walk through the door.
Are there going to be any changes to the interior of the building also?
Not at this point.
Any warehouse space going to be more office space, or you taking away from the warehouse?
No, they need the manufacturing space. There is a project in Wood Planning now to enlarge the building in the rear and add more parking, but that's separate.
So at this time, there's no warehouse space being converted to office?
No, they need what they have. You know, they added an office mezzanine. They were able to do that on a straight permit, but then they got complications, a lot of which came from structural issues which kept them from putting in an elevator and doing other renovations they had wanted, so thus the bump out.
So I took a ride there this afternoon. The parking all along the gutter line, you know, the curb line of the property was taken up.
Yeah, that's the neighborhood.
Factory area, I get that, but are any of those cars belong to this particular property?
My understanding is no, there's plenty of room to park on the site.
That road is overwhelmed.
Like many industrial streets in the town, people just park, and if you look at the aerial, many of those other uses give you nowhere to park if you go there. I mean, look at the outside storage, you know? Some of them are gated, they don't have regular parking lots. I mean, the two that are up now, outside storage dominates the site. If somebody's going to that site, where do they park?
Now, I didn't notice, maybe your client can tell me, are there any like no parking signs located in front of that building?
No, but if the town wants to put them up, that's up to the town. You know, we have no objection if that's what the town wants to do.
And the elevator itself is going to be inside or outside?
It's completely inside. You'll walk into a little lobby, there'll be some display to show their product, and then there's stairs and an elevator. You go up to the second floor and you come out in a reception area.
Any other questions from the board?
Just one, are we adding any employees?
Not based on this. If we do the expansion in the rear, it's anticipated we would add more employees.
None at this time.
Well, they added the office mezzanine, and there were employees added at that point. But more employees just because we're putting in an elevator and stairs? No, we're not getting employees. But they employ over 100 people now, and they're in conversations with the IDA about doing other things which would add more employees.
Is that going to affect the parking down the road?
They're also adding new parking. You know, there's a big grass area on that site next to the tracks on the left side of the building. There's room to expand parking into that area. There are some questions on just how to do it, but they can add parking in that area.
Is it the same owner?
Same owner.
Thank you.
And they occupy 72% of the building. So there are a couple of tenants there, but they occupy the lion's share of the building.
I mean, the green area and the owner of the building, with the expansion, is the same owner?
It will be by the time it gets under construction. I don't know if they own it now.
Thank you.
Now, also, I noticed some plumbing work being done on the face of the building, on the Henry side. Is that anything to do with this project? I noticed that there was some construction taking place.
I'm not sure what work.
That's repair. I mean, I have no idea. It's not part of this project. Sorry, I'm not sworn in.
You said that.
It's not part of the project. We're not exactly sure what it is. It's probably some sort of repair. Yes, 5.7 in connection with the canopy.
So if the board is more favorable to that, we would need like the full.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. This is the best he could do on a couple hours' notice. And his internet connection was down today.
Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. So we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. We'll keep the record open for new site plan, and thanks for coming down.
Okay, thank you.
Next application is application 24070 of Mario Gardadu, property located in Wyandanch.
How are you?
Name and address for the record, please.
Kelly Bennett, 1257 Udall Road, Bayshore, New York, 11706.
Okay, do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
For the record, we have Planning Division memo dated July 24th, 2024. Environmental Control memo dated July 9th, 2024. If we were to approve this application, it would need a negative declaration. Fire Marshal's report dated July 12th, 2024. It's an empty lot. Can't do much with that. Survey by Island-wide Surveyors. Dated February 3rd, 2020. Site plan. Manual. Yeah. I got younger eyes here.
And Eddie,
Marco's got it?
8/18/21.
10 Design Group, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
August 18th, 2021.
Okay.
6 photographs.
6 photographs. Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Here tonight on behalf of both the architect's office as well as Mario Guardado. He is the pastor of the church. The church right now has an operating parish located at 114 Long Island Avenue in Wyandanch. So this vacant parcel was purchased by the pastor and by the church back in, I want to say, I know the recorded deed was early of 19. So the intention was to develop this site and build a beautiful new church, their Forever Church, on this site. So basically that's what brings us here before this board this evening. We do have a current planning board application submitted. We've been working on that for a very long time, and we're right at those final stages. We do have a Board of Health application currently filed as well. So basically right now, we have 4 area variances that we are seeking relief on. I did bring renderings and extra plans for you guys, so I can bring those up to you. The first variance is to diminish the front yard setback from 30 feet to 12 feet on North 18th Street. Basically, in going over where we would develop the church and how we would develop out this very unique, long, narrow parcel, the goal was to stay away from the residential zone. So what also makes us a bit unique is to the west, we have industrial GA zone. Our parcel is zone GB. And then immediately behind us and abutting us and across the street on the Washington Avenue side is residential C. So our lot kind of serves as an odd buffer, you know, as a transitional lot between industrial to residential. So we did feel that, though, that would be a great proposed application on this parcel. So with that being said, we placed the building, and that really created items, I would say 1, 3, and 4 with the relief of front yard items. We are short in our landscaping requirement, where we're providing 7,296 square feet of landscaping in the front. So it's a very big site. It's 1.26 acres. It's 55,000 square feet. The church itself is a total of 5,800 and I want to say 60 square feet. There is a basement, first floor, and mezzanine level. So just to explain to the board in terms of how the building itself will serve the church, that basement area is always to be used with people that are already there for services. So after a service, people would then go into the basement. So it's not actually adding to the occupancy or seating in terms of how that basement's going to be used. It's never to be used separately. So the mezzanine has proposed 84 permanent seats. This would just be raised viewing for services. And then it's 84 seats in the mezzanine. We have 292 seats proposed on the first floor, and the basement seating would serve up to 124 seats. So the parking lot, we did split to the north and south side of the building, again, just to work with the unique shape of the lot itself. And we are short 17 parking spaces at this point. There is street parking on the Washington Avenue side, and we did get very good, or favorable, I should say, comments back from Cameron Engineering regarding our peak times, which is the Sundays, and then obviously the industrial zones abutting it. So it doesn't seem like it would create a negative impact with the actual parking deficiency at this point. The current congregation is about 160 to 170 members. As Louis Amana is here with us, he's here just in case the board had questions I couldn't answer, or if he wanted to speak to you, but he has a lot of knowledge on the church, and basically it's not something that year or month over month the congregation grows, because people come and people go at the same time. So the square footage right now is what they're proposing on this site. This would be their ultimate goal for them. So did the board have any specific questions about the plans or building itself?
Can you kind of like describe what's the activities are going to be here and stuff like that?
Yeah, basically, the service schedule is Wednesday and Friday and Saturday. The church operates a service from 8 to 10 p.m. Sunday service is 2 to 5 p.m. They have a few staff members in during the week. Other than that, special events, weddings, baptisms, all of the normal activities of a church, but there's nothing else outside of service at this point planned in there.
Okay, there is something in the environmental control memo in regards to the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a problem
Okay.
because of the test bores that were taken on 11423. Historical groundwater data in the basement at this location is likely to be problematic.
I will review that with the engineer. I mean, we do have our Board of Health application in and septic system designed based on that test bore. I know that I do believe we even might have gotten an updated one since then.
Okay.
I can look to that, but I do believe that we should be okay with groundwater from all of this. And I could actually submit the SLAC test boring report into the board, if that would be helpful. So basically, it's kind of like a gathering area. We're putting in, you know, like a little Ansel hood. So for after service, basically that's where all of the congregation members would then go into the basement, enjoy refreshments. And so it's always to be used by the people that were just upstairs in service, essentially.
Commonly referred to as a coffee hour? Commonly referred to as a coffee hour, maybe? Would this be for the
Would you-
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the other?
Yes, Louis, would you think that you're using that basement area for any purposes outside of after service? Really just for like refreshments after services?
That's basically it. There's
That's-
really, yeah, it's just mostly going downstairs, get refreshments.
They do a lot of volunteer work that's kind of amazing for the community as well, because I'm thinking about when you guys made all the food for the community too. So they do a lot of outreach within the community. I know when we had gone to visit the existing site, they were making a big batch of food to go give to you know, people in need in the actual community. So, but other than, yeah, so it could be coffee break or community outreach outside of a service going on.
Food pantry?
I wouldn't call it a food pantry. The Ansel hood is being installed as per, you know, the requirements for the preparation of food, but would you use the basement at all as any type of food pantry? To store food, Louis? Food pantry? Okay, no.
And you think you're going to have adequate parking? You're asking for some parking relief here?
Yeah, we are deficient 17 spots based on the congregation size right now. We do not expect for that. These might be your one time a year, your Christmas mass, you know, kind of situations where these things may arise, but it seems as though, again, these peak times and you know, where the property is located. For example, on a Sunday, you know, the opposite side of the street, that's industrial, no one's there, no one's operating. So, you know, we hope that it would be more than sufficient. We did put the bike racks, you know, and again, I do have a copy of the traffic study to submit to the board for their review as well.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Waited a long time. Name and
sir.
address for the record.
J.D. Thomas, I'm a board member of the Wyandanch Wheatley Heights Ambulance Corps at 295 Merritt Avenue in Wyandanch.
Do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
What would you like to tell us?
So we are definitely in favor of this church. They are very active. We know who they are, where they're currently at right now. Our only concern is the parking. If there was a request, and I'm not sure based on what was said here, is there a request to allow street parking on 18th Street? No? Okay, great. We definitely can't have that. And we do have some concern about any potential parking definitely during the week on Washington in that section between 18th and 17th that before 7 p.m. That 8 to 10 that they're having is not going to bother us. But if you guys don't know, that area right now is a disaster with traffic during the day, and we have struggles getting through there right now. So to add anything more than that would be a challenge. That Sunday, they right now have an afternoon. They probably have a morning time. That wouldn't really bother us because we don't have the normal rush hour traffic, you know, commuters for work and school. So that was our only express, that there won't be allowed any 18th Street parking, and that there might be some sort of limit to the parking on Washington prior to 7 p.m. Outside of that, we welcome them. They're already in the community doing some good stuff, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
It is. It has taken a very long time. It's been quite the road, but yes, we're getting right there on that, as well as the Board of Health approval. So if the board doesn't mind, just to kind of comment about that concern, just to point out, so we do have 2 aprons. We're not kind of funneling any kind of traffic. North 18th, there is no street parking, and we're not seeking that. The other thing, you know, the size of both of the aprons, everything else, and then even really down to day and hour, in terms of the traffic study is all in here for, you know, the board's review. As I said, the requirement is 1 parking spot per 4 permanent seats. That's where we come to, we're supposed to provide 90, and we're providing 73, the 17 deficient. So, you know, kind of the point to that is, rarely is there going to be that amount of people in relation to the permanent seating, based on the congregation size.
Okay, we're going to close the hearing, reserve decision. We're going to keep the record.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And also just to point out, we did agree and would 100 be okay with the condition. That was on the second page. The no outdoor events or special permits.
Oh, okay,
of course.
yeah, okay, got it.
Okay. Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to close the hearing, reserve decision. We'll keep the record open. You'll get back to us with the test borings?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks. That concludes our live streaming portion of the meeting. We'll now continue on with the remainder of